Howdy y'all, this is AR Cavally. Welcome back to my channel, and we are going to continue the adventures of Lennox and Zell as they seek out the magical pine cone. It definitely sounds like some kind of Zelda adventure. When we left last time, they had barely made it through. Lennox was broken, almost drowned, and was they set up camp, rested on a dock, and we had a good night's sleep. So now we're going to start our day over. So the first thing, we shuffle our playing cards. We'll do that. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. And use the XP question prompts from the previous day. That. Okay, did you participate in the session? We don't use that one for solo. Do we travel through at least one hex? Yes, we did. Did we discover a new adventure site? No, we didn't defeat monsters or find treasures. Activate pride. Did you perform an extraordinary action of some kind? I don't think that almost drowning counts as that, but I'm going to say it doesn't. So just one experience. So he's up to 6, and had he not been broken and completely exhausted, my plan was to have him buy those last night, because when you buy a skill, then you're supposed to spend like a quarter of a day resting or whatever. But I'm just going to say he was too tired to even do that. So we'll maybe he can, depending on how today goes, maybe he can do that. Okay, weather, wind, and whatever it is. Oh, 6. That's not good. That's a storm. I guess that I remember from the first time I tried to run through. So let's see what our storm does for us. I know it doesn't help us. Okay, so 6 is a storm. When I get got a 6, a 3, and a 5. Okay, so the other two are no rainfall and it's pleasant temperature, but a 6 is a storm. Make camp -2, so it is windy, crazy. For a quarter day, all player characters must succeed with an endurance roll to keep moving. So this storm is just it's a freak windstorm. There's some rain, there's some fog, whatever or mist that comes with it, but it's mostly a windstorm because the rest of the day is clear. Temperature is okay. So it's just a windstorm, and make camp is at -2. So for a quarter day, so of the morning, all player characters must succeed in endurance to keep moving. All right. Well, before I do that, I need to go fill in my adventure journal. All right. So it's a endurance roll to push forward. So he's Lennox is going to make the endurance roll for them. And because they do have the strong horse, I'm going to give a +1. I think that's reasonable because he is the horse is helping carry things and is a strong horse, so it can get through. Possibly. All right. Hmm. Well, I think this is another. This is definitely another trait or another because it's kind of a struggle. You know, they're trying to push their way through a storm, and even though he nearly drowned yesterday, he's going to try to push it. He's going to try to push it. All right, so he makes it, and he takes. Let's see, it was an endurance, so that's strength. So he takes 1 point of strength. It's not two, one, and earns himself another willpower. So that's good. And they do manage to make it through. Uh, they managed to push through the storm. There's and we just in Tennessee and in I know other a lot of parts in the area we had very wind, a lot of damage, trees down and everything. And I was out trying to, sorry, just as a GM's aside, I was out trying to lash down my kid's trampoline so they didn't go flying into our neighbor's house. And as I did that, I got hit in the face with like a little stick and even some leaves. Man, those things hurt. So anyway, bringing that back to the game, he they push through. They got their cloaks up over their eyes as best they can as the wind is just howling and pounding, and Lennox ends up getting blown over a couple of times, or he stumbles and bruises his leg, but they do manage to go forward. So it said for the first quarter, so I'm assuming that it's going to end after the first quarter day, but it's going to be very windy in any kind of encounters that they have. So let's go back to our hex procedure. All right, so first off, Zell is going to lead the way. Lead the way, Zell. You can do it. Okay, no, he can't do it. All right, so he's leading the way, failed to lead the way. And yeah, I'm just not going to have him push either. Let's see what happens from his failed lead the way. 43. That's what we just had. Yes, we just had, wasn't it? Downpour. All right, so this whole thing is just one big storm. And it was windy. Now it's windy with slashing rain, starts pelting them in the face. Okay, so they must another roll against cold. So that's going to be an endurance roll. No, he's -1 strength, but he does get a +1 gear for the blanket. So we'll see if they suffer as they start getting soaked again and start look for some shelter. Okay. Do they want to be cold? It's going to ruin their blanket if he tries to push. Mm. I need to actually double check and see what cold does exactly. Don't want to cover up my beautiful face with my character sheet. All right. Let me look up cold. Be right back. All right, so just for posterity's sake, cold. If you get cold, then you immediately lose 1 point of damage to your strength and wits. As your cold seeps into your body and makes your blood run slower to your brain, and you're unable to think. You can even hallucinate. Talking about freezing to death. Um, if you're broken, you die from the next time. Um, I'm not really thinking of this as like a blizzard or something where you might actually freeze to death, but that damp, persistent cold that prevents any kind of rest and just wearies you out. He's not really the best at fixing blankets or anything, though. I don't know if I want to risk losing the blanket. Okay, I don't. Yeah, I don't want to risk the blanket. So we'll say because it's so windy, it's impossible to keep the blanket wrapped effectively around, and the slashing wind just comes in, and they're drenched before they even have a chance. So Lennox is now cold, and so is Zell. They're both cold, but uh, just because I've decided that they're both cold. All right, and so now they're in the downpour again. We must seek shelter until it has passed. All right, let's use our oracle to see if there is anything nearby that might work as a good shelter. And I'll shuffle again. All right, Queen of Hearts. And we're traveling north. I'm gonna keep us on the shoreline though, just because. Oh yeah, and we do actually move into the next hex. Um, because we did make our move roll. We're gonna stay across the line. Oh, I also need to go back and do the experience stuff. But Queen of Hearts, waters and shorelines, a secluded bay. I'm going to say that secluded bay is enough to at least cut down a good portion of the wind. So as they're following along the shoreline, they come into a I guess on a river that size, it'd probably look more like maybe a gully or something, or maybe a small tributary runs in, possibly. Yeah, that's what it is. As they are going through, as we see the hills or mountains on the right hand side there, the river comes close to one, and there is a secluded gully. It has some rock features in it, and so it makes it very safe. It's stopping the wind. They're still cold, but at least they're out of the wind, and they're able to again kind of hide under their shelter while the rain is pelting the little gully they found. At least stops some of the rain that's slashing across, and they make no further progress that quarter hour. But I think this time we will they did move, they did enter a new hex. Stuff's going on, so we're going to check for an encounter. Five of diamonds. So that's a regular encounter on the Forbidden Lands book. D66. 5 and 4. That's definitely an encounter. Let's see what that kind of encounter is. Is there... Oh, he's cold. I need to reduce wits and strength. Oof, that's not good. All right, wits and strength. And I guess Zell too. As they are desperately trying to find a place enough out of the wind and rain that they can make a small campfire. And in fact, what they probably need to do is try to rest because they've pushed forward and they're soaked. But let's see what our encounter is. 5-4 from the Game Master. Let's see. It's not one specifically for rivers. It's not really a lake. So I'm gonna say hills. 5-4 on the hills is 33. Let's see what 33 gives us. The Minotaur's Lament. Well, that doesn't sound great for us. A harrowing roar echoes throughout the land. It is a howl filled with enormous anger and sorrow. After the next bend in the road, you are met by a terrible scene. 4 soldiers lie slain in a violent battle, and towering above the corpses is a bloody and sobbing Minotaur. The beast is leaning over another Minotaur, killed by about a dozen arrows. The Minotaur roars its sorrow towards the sky. Then it turns towards you. Well, let's see. So we'll say that this is going on farther back into the draw, into the gully that we pulled in to get out of the weather. And as we're just starting to get things ready, and the howl echoes down the draw, echoes down the gully, and just in shock and terror, they creep forward just around the bend so that they can see what's going on, ready to run away at any instant. All right, so Kaun, make it sound all fancy, give it some extra accents in there. Khan, the life partner of the Minotaur Markut, died in a fight against a group of soldiers from a nearby castle led by a battle-scarred soldier named Aaron. 4 survivors from the patrol are currently hiding among the trees nearby. Markut will not rest until all the soldiers are dead. Aaron's soldiers are deathly afraid of her, but also want to avenge their fallen comrades and retake the banner lying on the ground among the dead. The adventurers end up in the middle. Which side will they choose? Well, he is not Lennox, that is. He's not really he's not really interested in in fighting monsters at all. He doesn't really want to be on anybody's side. But this Minotaur, is according to this, it turns towards them. So we will go with the at least the idea that it knows someone's there. Let's use our oracle. Let's use our hazardous, dangerous oracle. And yeah, see, I don't think yeah, I don't think he's going to be, you know, great friend great friends with us. So we may end up just having to defend ourselves. And if that's the case, then probably the soldiers will help. And we won't be in the best shape because we are already beat to crap. But let's go ahead. We'll just we'll see what our oracle tells us. Oh, let me shuffle. Oh, no, I don't want to shuffle. Six of Hearts. So that tells us mildly helpful. So the Minotaur looks at them and takes a great sniff of the air, and some of the rage leaves its eyes. It realizes that they are not the soldiers. I mean, these are still humans. Minotaurs are happy to to eat humans or whatever, but these are not the humans he's looking for. And let's see. So this is going. Let's see. Let's see if they actually just get stuck in the middle of this. Um, I guess since we've got it, we'll go ahead and use our card oracle. Do the soldiers take this chance, this distraction, as a way to attack the Minotaur? And maybe the scarred soldier who has survived has decided, if yes, then the scarred soldier who survived with the men has decided that the distraction is a good time to attack, and that the humans will basically be forced to help when the Minotaur goes crazy, and they'll be having to fight for their lives. So let's see what our card says for our yes no oracle. Eight of clubs. Eight of clubs. Black. All right. No. All right. So they do not. The soldiers do not attack. They don't feel that it's tactically a wise decision. And of course, now even if they don't fight, they've got to go. This is the one place they found in this, because the storm is still howling and raging around them, and now they are stuck in the in with this angry Minotaur. I'm going to have Lennox. I'm going to have him do a scouting roll, since he's because at this point they just see the dead soldiers. That's kind of what they're focused on. They're focused on the dead soldiers. They're focused on the Minotaur mooing in rage in sorrow. Okay, scouting. Unfortunately, his wits are. Or let's see, he's not pulling out. He's not pulling out his. He's just glancing around. This is not really a time to be pulling out your big uh, spyglass. Oh, okay. So he does get a success. So he sees off to the side of the draw, just a little bit up the side, kind of just a little bit on the opposite side of the Minotaur. He catches the eye, or he sees some movement, and he looks, and there he sees the soldiers, and they're just kind of staring at him because now we're kind of at an impasse. The Minotaur didn't attack them. He is not interested. Lennox is not interested in fighting the Minotaur, and he doesn't give a flying fig about these soldiers. Let's go. But the beast, yeah, it looks like they already killed one. They without us, they can kill the other one without us. Let's get the hell out of here. Doesn't it ever shame you to run from everything? It doesn't shame me to run from fire demons and giant minotaurs who could rip me in half. Look, if you want to go, feel free, but the horse is mine. Go on. No, you're right. And so they back up. They back out of sight. And the Minotaur, I think at this point, because it already did not attack them, it already knew it wasn't part of them. Maybe the encounter is really supposed to be played that he attacks, but I think from the oracles, the Minotaur doesn't attack, and I think the Minotaur is, it's grieving, so it's happy to let them go because it knows that it wasn't, it doesn't smell Minotaur blood on them, so it was not. It knows that they were not involved in slaying of its mate, and it doesn't want to go chasing them down. It's angry, but it's also sad, so it's just sitting there mooing in rage and despair. Its voice barely heard over the howling winds that are running over and through the draw from this storm. They back around. They back around the corner, around the bend, and out of sight. We've got to get out of here. But we just found this place. I know. You want to stay here? At some point, those soldiers are either going to get discovered or they're going to attack the other Minotaur. And then when one side or the other comes running down this way, we're going to get trampled and killed. We're going to get it's stuck in the middle of it, and then we're going to get killed. We got to find another place. Okay. All right. All right. And so we'll have Zell do another path, basically a lead the way roll. They're not moving in a hex because of the rolls and everything. They're not moving any more hexes this quarter day, but to find another place. Okay, excellent. So they run, or they lead the horse. They get back, they get out of the gully, and the wind is still howling and pelting them. Rain is drenching them. They're soaked, freezing, but they manage to find. They travel far enough. Zell leads them up between the river and the hills, or the foothills there, and let's see what they find. We'll use our handy little oracle, a jack of clubs. Did we just have that? No, that was for something else. All right. Waterways and shorelines, flotsam, Okay, so nothing helpful to tell us what they found, but they found some flotsam, something. It looks like possibly maybe that dock that they were on finally gave way under the new uh, in the new storm, although it would flow the other way, so it wouldn't be this. Um, it looks like maybe a raft or something came apart, and it tumbles amongst the churning um, river, the churning angry river. But they do find another place, another draw that's not quite so helpful, but they're able to get, and they're at least far enough away. They don't hear the outcome of the battle between the Minotaur and the soldiers. All right, so that's, let's see, was that just one quarter? Yes, it was. But like I said, okay, so uh, they're going to back up. They're going to set up camp and they're going to rest. They're not planning on going anywhere else today. So let me go ahead and pause to fill out my adventure journal. All right, so we have our our windstorm. Even though they found shelter from the downpour as best they could, the windstorm gives a -2 to the make camp roll. So that's not overly helpful because they need to not get cold, or they need to warm up, and so they need to get a camping roll in here. Let's see. So that's leaving him with 2 dice. Um, yeah, so that's not going to help. That's not going to help a great deal. And because there are monsters, I guess. Well, let's see. We'll just have to. Now, I think because it is really, really important. So I think Lennox is. Oh, he doesn't have the skill to help anyway. Oh well. Let's try to set up camp. And this is not going to be great if if he fails. -2. Roll. Uh, all right, so between the storm and the rain and the exhaustion, just doesn't go well. All right, so we're going to they want to try to make camp. Oh, whoops. Okay, they have the tent, which gives them a +2 as well. So let me just modify that roll. Give me my 2, or wait, that tent got damaged, I think, and he never fixed it. So it may only be +1. Oh, no, okay. All right, well, if it did, I don't remember, and I didn't mark it down, so it's still showing as 2. So two extra gear dice, or 2 gear dice that I had not rolled. Hmm. All right, well that did not help either. alas. So it's too windy. You just can't even with the tent. They just can't get a good uh, campsite. They can't get comfortable. They're having it's getting impossible to light a fire with all the water and the wind. So let's see what happens for failing that make camp roll. 5-4. Making camp mishaps 5-4. Oops. Mosquito swarm. Large swarm of mosquitoes or gnats attacks the camp. Now I'm not given the storm. I'm not going to say that, but what I'm going to say is that everyone has to make, or you have to make another cold roll, another endurance roll, or suffer cold again. On the one hand, it's cool to have a game where you could just die from freezing, but I'd rather I'd rather not. Okay, so it's going to be endurance. And since they're both setting up, um, uh, trying to set that up, I'm going to allow Zell to give one endurance and one gear die for the blanket. So let's see if they can survive the cold. Daggum. All right. Well, it might be one of those situations where he'd be better off not trying to push. You know what? What kind of? Let's see. I have not actually looked at my assets in a long time. I know one is for scouting or something. What's the other ones? All right. Path of Many Things, Sixth Sense, Incorruptible. No. And Zell, that just allows him to. He has the Wayfinder thing. Um, you know what? He's gonna push it because this is it's getting bad. The storm is terrible. They're drenched, and he doesn't want to die of pneumonia. All right. So despite curling up in the blanket and trying to get a fire started and trying to block the wind with the tent, but the wind is just howling and it continually knocks the tent over on them and soaking them, and there's no rest to be had, no no respite, no warmth to be found. So one wits and one strength. Yikes. Oh, and for Zell too. Now, given the severity of the storm, I'm going to say that I'm going to say that there's there's nothing wandering around in this storm. Everything is hunkered down that's in this area. Um, Let me update my adventure journal real quick. All right, so as they're huddling under the soaking, sopping tent, they realize that they did not do their experience, and about the only thing they did was move yesterday. Whoops, not willpower. Arg. And again, they need to be able to rest or to sleep, so they're gonna try. I'm gonna try again. Let's see. How does the What is the storm? How long does that stay in there? So he failed his roll, and so he had a downpour. Oh, that was lead the way, actually. Okay. Now this is kind of a reoccurring storm system going on and on. The day's pretty windy. Does it last for the entire day though? For a quarter day, all players must succeed. Okay. All right, so they are able to. They have no choice. They just curl up as best as they can beneath their cloaks and the soaking tent, and then finally, after several hours, after a couple hours, the storm blows through, and they they still now they're trying to set up camp. Oh, also what I forgot to do, I forgot to roll their food yesterday. Oh well, we'll just say uh, they had lots of fish from the from the flooded river, and they had lots of water. So we'll just skip that from me. We won't worry about going back in time for yesterday. But now they're trying again to make camp. Okay, great. So no need to push. No need to push, which is good. Uh, so as the storm finally dies down, Zell starts uh, Zell and Lennox, they start gathering the things up, trying to dry the tent as best they can. Trying to make a fire. They finally Zell finally gets a fire going, and he mutters a prayer to Horn. Oh, and he greedily rubs his hands, and so does Lennox. As soon as the fire is of any appreciable size, both of them are greedily rubbing their hands over, just hoping, just trying to get any bit of warmth back into their fingers. Now that the downpour and the storm has blown over, it's back to being being clear and temperate, but now it's also getting dark. And after they spend that time, and finally the fire is raging, and finally the fire is warming their bones while Zell is tending the fire. Lennox is making a makeshift rack to hang their clothes on, and the tent as best they can to dry before they try to set it up. And while this is happening, they go ahead and eat. Let's see if they how's their food stores. Okay, so D6 or a 6 is good, a 4 is good. So Zell, since they are still by close to water, I probably shouldn't even worry about that, but okay. Fact, let's see. Is he down? Is he down any water? Old Zell. Yeah, he was. So I'm gonna bring Zell back up to a D8 water. And so they are eventually, they finally get warmed up. They finally get the fire going. They get the tent. It's still damp, but enough to help them keep their body heat in as they huddle beneath the blanket in the tent in a manly way as true soldiers surviving in the wilderness, nothing else. And just to be difficult, I think I'm gonna see if there's an encounter. Let's see if there's some kind of strange encounter that happens since they've been sitting in this one spot for many hours now. 7 of clubs. So that's going to be Book of Beasts table. Yep, Book of Beasts. And hey, Lennox, why don't you give us a D66 there, old big guy? 22. All right, so there's for where they're at. That's a non-encounter. $22. Yeah. All right. So fortunately for them, they're able to get through the night, and they wake up a little damp, but still warm and rested and recovered. So they are no longer cold. Boy, that's no joke. That is no joke, and I like that. I love that about the about the system. Whew, his wits are back about him now, and he feels at himself, stiff from the shivering all night. And they break camp in the morning, get another fire, a nice warm morning fire to get rid of the morning chill. And I think that's a good place to call it for this adventure. The adventure of storms, right? The man versus nature story arc was this hex or two, and they will continue north. Right. So after yesterday's travails and having learned what works and what works and what doesn't work so well in real time, Lennox is going to spend his experience points to buy a level in survival. Now to get the experience for spending. Okay, you can use it to improve. How does that work? I know it's a certain amount. All right, so learning a new skill at level 1 costs 5 XP. Also, you must either have used the skill and succeeded during the session or be instructed by a teacher. Okay, I'll say he may have actually made some kind of roll. Well, maybe not for that. But either way, he's been watching Zell, so I think for at least several days now. So he's got a teacher. I think this real experienced bushcraft real life bushcraft training. So for 5 XP, he gets that new skill at 1. So survival at 1, and XP goes down to 2. All right, so they break camp and they make ready to meet the new, still somewhat soggy day. And we will continue the adventures of Lennox and Zell after their magical pine cone next time. Thanks for coming along and happy gaming.